Hello and welcome to another Lockdown Learning with myself, Paul Holland. We are looking at the German perfect tense today. This therefore is a video designed for people who are perhaps revising for GCSE or even for A-level maybe. The German perfect tense is absolutely the key past tense that you will need when speaking and writing German most of the time for things which involve events that happened in the past at a particular moment. We use the German perfect tense to describe things that we did last week or things that have happened at a time in the past. For example, last week we went to a restaurant, something like that. Yesterday I worked all day, or even general questions such as, yes, I have eaten German Bockwurst, for example. No, I have never visited Berlin. So you can obviously have it in the negative as well. And it describes a past tense which, well, even if it happened over a long period, for example, I didn't visit somewhere, it suggests a particular finished action that in some respects is a well-defined, as I say, completed action that you're talking about, which is definitely in the past and has happened. Here's the big thing to remember. In German, it's very straightforward. There are always three parts. Just like French or Italian or Spanish, there are always three parts. The problem for English speakers often with this is that the English that we use to describe the perfect tense is often in different forms in our own language. So, for example, we say, I opened the book, or I have opened the book, and we even say, I did open the book for emphatic reasons. In German, all of these are just ich habe das Buch, or whatever it is, the door, or my mind, geöffnet. 1, 2, 3. German's really consistent with this. So, what are these three parts? Let's have a look at them now. There's always the subject, the person who has done something, whether that's yourself or whether that's somebody in your family, or we as a group all went to the park or something like that. There's the auxiliary, and the auxiliary is always the present tense of either haben or sein. Now for this video we're just going to concentrate on haben. There's another video that you'll find which is a very short video all about the verbs that use sein in the middle here. Ich bin, du bist, that particular form of an auxiliary. For this video it's just haben. And there's always the past participle, the actual verb that you're talking about that you did. And that's a little bit more complicated. We need to learn how to form that past participle. Let's check that we recognize all of the forms of haben, the auxiliary verb, the one in the middle there. Obviously, the form of haben that you use will be completely dependent on the subject that you've got here in the first column. And as I say, you will only use the present tense of haben. You can form another tense, the pluperfect tense, and that's by using the imperfect of haben in the middle here, and that would translate into I had done something. Even before this action, I had already done something else. But let's leave that for the moment. You can come back and refine that. That's quite easy to form once you know how to do the rest of the perfect tense. And so on to the past participle. It's always, number one rule, it's always in German pushed to the end of the clause. So that's the end of the sentence or the end of the part of the sentence, which will then be followed by a comma. And you'll always have that in German. So instead of saying, I have read this magazine, in German you would have to say, I have this magazine read. Ich habe dieses Magazin gelesen. So, how do we form the past participle? Well, there's three things to bear in mind. I think that's what I've boiled it down to for this video. The first thing to consider is whether the verb is weak or strong. Now, this shouldn't put you off too much as an English speaker. We have the same in English. We have weak verbs, which are simply the verbs that we put ed on the end of. Okay, so play goes to played, walk to walked, open to opened. And then we also have verbs that are strong, which means they don't just put ed on the end. They often have an en on the end. So break goes to broken. And you'll notice also sometimes there's a vowel mutation in English. Break to broken. Take to taken. Or sometimes there's just a vowel mutation in English. Swim goes to swum. Read goes to read. I have read something, even though we don't change the spelling. So let's start with the weak ones in German. It's very simple. You simply put GE on the front and you put a T on the end. Spielen, to play. Ich habe gespielt. So you change that EN from the infinitive form, the basic form, and you change it to a T. Put the Ge on the front. Ich habe heute Fußball gespielt. I played football today. Sie hat die Tür geöffnet. The very common verb machen is weak. It simply goes to gemacht. Wir haben einen Kuchen gemacht. Now, strong verbs do have an EN on the end instead of a T, and sometimes they include a vowel mutation. So that means that mutated vowel there that you see in the infinitive has changed into another vowel. There are some patterns. So strong verbs aren't completely irregular, not completely, but they do have some kind of a form that's slightly different. So you need to learn some of those. So you have brechen goes to gebrochen. Essen goes to gegessen with an extra G. Here's a list of some of the most common ones that you'll encounter. There is also a very small group of mixed verbs, which means they do a bit of both. So here are your few very typical ones. Denken goes to gedacht, and bringen goes to gebracht. So they both have not just a vowel mutation, but a strange extra CH in the middle there. That explains why the English has a GH, even though we don't pronounce it anymore. So I brought something. Ich habe etwas gebracht. I brought my friend with me. Ich habe meine Freundin mit mir gebracht. For example. Kennen, gekannt. But not too many to worry about. Just recognize the ones that you'll need. Now, the next big thing that you need to think about for these past participles are separable verbs. Separable verbs, these are verbs a little bit like English compound verbs. To go out, to come in, to go around, to go back. Here are a few of them. Fernsehen, to watch TV. Mitbringen, to bring something with you. Ausgeben, to spend money, not to spend time. And for these you push them obviously to the end, as you would expect, but the separable prefix is pushed away from the main body of the verb and you've got that GE pushed in. Ich habe ferngesehen. I watched TV. We brought some presents. Wir haben Geschenke mitgebracht. So obviously you will still need to know whether the verb itself is weak or strong or mixed, but the prefix, which is often a preposition anyway, just gets tacked onto the front of the whole thing, and then the whole thing gets pushed to the end. There are also a number of prefixes which do not separate from the verb. Here they are. These are your main ones in German. If you see one of these on the front of something, then you simply don't separate them at all, and you don't add a GE at all. So, my mother has sold her car. Meine Mutter hat ihr Auto verkauft. Kaufen is weak, so it would normally go to gekauft, for to buy, but this is verkaufen, to sell. So verkauft. I have ordered a lemonade. Ich habe eine Limonade bestellt. And there's also a few verbs which don't have anything on the front, but they end in iren. And iren, I-E-R-E-N, simply goes to irrt. Here are just a few examples. Kopieren, to kopiert. Don't put GE on the front. I did not copy my homework. Ich habe meine Hausaufgaben nicht kopiert. Telefonieren, telefoniert. diskutiert, repariert. And that is the way that the perfect tense is formed in German. I hope that is of some use, and certainly it's one of those big tenses that you need to have in place for your exams, both GCSE and A-level certainly, and it's one of those things that is used all the time in conversation. So good luck with this. If you found that useful, please have a look at some of my other videos and check out other various playlists that I have in my lockdown learning series. Thank you very much, and goodbye.